It's a legendary time for us Kengan fans, a chapter showing the one and only Gaio Mukaku, and the most character-wise we've ever received. For a quick reminder, he's the one-man army of the inside who created the legendary Nico style. As such, he trained Oma's master and the Tiger Nico before that fateful event in the forest where most of the other Nikos died and he proceeded to disappear. He appears in Kengan Omega chapter 182 in Ryuki's flashback as the one who trained him, and prior to this we have Ryuki calling him his grandfather. The training is purely for assassination as the main purpose of the Gaio style, which means a few major things. He created the Nico style to be something more so combat friendly rather than sneak attack assassination based. But when the Nikos died, most likely due to the Worm and Tiger Nico as my theory, he seems as though he went back to the Gaio style, training Ryuki for the sole purpose of killing the worms. And I get the sense ever since the Nikos died, he dedicated himself to actually killing the worms. He realized that he's getting too old and will eventually die, so he needed to pass down his legacy to someone to continue the killing of the worms, and that's where Ryuki comes into play. With there still being a lot of interesting stuff regarding that, as Ryuki is described as a clone, the connector, and is he really Gaio Mukaku's grandson? I personally don't think so. I think Gaio Mukaku may have stole him from the worm and then of course trained him up, and Ryuki really isn't aware of this. That's just my theory once again, but it does make sense considering everything we've learned about him so far and his connection to the worms, and of course all the stuff with Oma as well. However, coming back to Mukaku, there's also another theory to discuss when breaking down what we learned this chapter. But before that, hit that subscribe button if you're a fan of fighting manga. That's what I provide on this channel, Mysterious Weeb. It's greatly appreciated. So we see his brutality in his training of Ryuki, which is clearly similar to the Tiger Nico for his Gu rituals as an example, just on a smaller scale, perhaps due to the lacking of resources or past failures. In particular, when he was training the Nikos in that forest, that's the same forest Oma's master had trained him in the Demon's Bane. Perhaps all the Nikos died during the training for the Demon's Bane and it wasn't really the worm's involvement, and technically Mukaku actually just killed most of the Nikos. I personally don't think that's the case. I think it is mainly due to the worm's involvement and something going completely wrong during that. But I could be wrong. That's just two possible theories. Let me know which one you favour down below. But in this chapter, we get it revealed that Mukaku is just a true menace, and I love to see it. Just look at this panel here of him talking about assassination. Just truly a demon. Now coming back to the chapter itself, the other things we got is of course Ryuki finally defeating Adam, as I expected, and I predict there to be a little complaining from Adam fans for a little bit now. The Adam fan base did rise up, and I guess the Ryuki haters did rise up as well. I really didn't think Adam was going to win whatsoever, but he did very well during this fight. He's definitely rose up through the ranks. If I had to really break it down of where I would place current Adam, I don't think he's around A tier, as characters like Nitoku and Lu Dongchen I have an A tier, and I think those type of characters still beat up Adam, but a tier below that is where I would place him. I may do a video at the end of the Berserker Ball of all the participants versus the Kengan Ashura Annihilation Tournament, which may be an interesting thing, let me know down below. But Ryuki throughout this chapter in Killer Mode has shown once again that he's an absolute monster and can pretty much, I guess, be considered a kinda top tier in this mode, as he kinda just absolutely rolled Adam in the way he finished him. The Rakushosha Palm grapple and then the little poke he did, and then the new Gaio style technique we got to see, which I believe is something Oma has used part of the Nico style as well. That was great to see. Just his durability is off the charts, and Ryuki is truly a monster when he gets in this, I guess, flower of carnage state. A few more things to mention, of course, is Kiryu once again being a sussy boy, telling Ryuki to kill Adam. At this point, I don't think Kiryu cares about Ryuki actually being in this tournament. He just wants Ryuki to get stronger so he can eventually fight and defeat the old god Oma, as I talked about in last week's video. But yeah, Kiryu, sussy boy. I hope we do get to see him go all out in Omega at some point as well. maybe having an interaction with Oma during the next coming chapters when Roki actually fights Koga in round 2 of the Berserker Ball, which I am very excited for. It's clear that Roki is much more injured compared to Koga, but I think it's going to be a very close fight. I predict that Koga is going to win to push the narrative forward, and I guess Roki fully leaving the Kengan Association to go with Kiryu, and I guess Okoya with dedicated worm hunting, and then we'll eventually have him getting captured by the worm, and then the fated battle of Roki and Koga at the end of the series perhaps. And then the other fight of the Berserker Ball I want to talk about is of course Rito vs Sorpang. Sorpang will be more injured than Rito. Rito low diff Myers, Sorpang had a high diff fight with Cosmo. I do think Rito is going to win that fight super high diff and potentially pull out his first K1 style technique, and we'll get to see more flashbacks of his training, but Sorpang is going to be an absolute monster as well. He showed that in his Cosmo fight. I think their fight is going to be absolutely great. Koga vs Roki of course is going to be great, and I do think Adon vs Roki is the best fight of the tournament so far. It was, I guess, a little bit longer than Cosmo vs Sorpang, even though that fight was very hype in the few chapters we got. I think this fight slowly edges above it a little bit. Let me know your thoughts on that as well down below. Another major positive about this chapter was the art as a whole. The panels of Roki entering Flower Carnage mode were absolutely great. And we learned on the Doraemon Twitter, the artist of Kengan Ashura and Kengan Mega, that he actually uses AI generated images or combines multiple of them for some of the art. He's talked about this previously, but I hadn't really talked about it in a video, so I'll do it now. So these are the tweets as you see on screen here. Someone was praising the art, and then we got Doraemon actually explaining how he did this type of thing with all these various AI images combining together, how he created the Flower of Carnage imagery. I know a lot of people may be turned off by this, but personally I don't mind whatsoever. I don't care how they get to the end result, so long the chapters look good, I am more than happy about that. And being fair though, out of all the manga I read, which being fair though isn't too much, I think Kengan is the best looking weekly manga. If you have others that you think look better, let me know down below. But a lot of other series tend to go on break quite often. Kengan hasn't really had a break in 2 years apart from once last year, so that's pretty incredible. Weekly chapters for over a year, that's insane, and the art this week of course is great. So if they are using AI generated images or copying images from previous chapters, I don't really mind, it looks great and I'm really enjoying it. As always, let me know your thoughts on the chapter down below, subscribe, check out all the other stuff in the description, join the Discord if you want to talk more about Kengan greatness. We've had various discussions, check out the Twitter for updates on, I guess, manga I buy, and of course, shout out to the Mad Lads who support the channel via the Patreon. But yep, that's it guys, peace.